Well, hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining me. Glad to have you on. I know it's way early in the morning. Maybe I shouldn't be doing them this late, but I tend to be a night owl. So this is just something I like to do. So we're going to start with some cardstock, and it's craft cardstock. Let me change my views here. One thing I could first tell you before I change the views, if you would like to join my VIP group and get discounts there, then comment me below and let me know that you wanted to be added to my group. This next week I am doing some specials in there for the Cyber Week, and so you might want to join that. If you want to purchase just off of my site, it's chalkcouture.com/ArlenaPatton, and either way is fine, but I can offer you some deals in my VIP group, so that would be a great way to join. Now let me get to the switcher view. And yeah, I got it backwards, so let me fix that. There we go. Now we have it right. And it looks like you can still see me. I switched a couple of things around. I'm still learning this program out a bit. So I'll grab my tool here. It must have come off of my scoreboard. So you are going to take this craft cardstock, and it is 8.5 by 11, and you are going to cut them at 4 inches. And I've already done that, and we'll just move on to the next step. This is a scoreboard, and they come in all different sizes. This is a small one, and they have large ones that are 12 by 12. And it has the little score tool on it. And I'm going to line my cardstock right up in that corner. And since this is, I want a square, and since this is 4 inches wide, I'm going to score it on the 4 inch. So, and I'll put that off to the side. And then I'm just going to bend my cardstock. We'll turn it around where I can score it. So, and that gives you a nice good score mark. And then I have another paper pad that I used on this, and this is the pad I used on the next step, and it is the natural burlap, and I have cut strips 4 inches and then 4 inches, and so you have 4-inch squares. You can get a whole bunch out of here. You can get 3 across and 3 up, so you can get quite a few off of one sheet. One thing is this is kind of a little bit plasticky on the bottom, and it's a little thick, so you're either going to need a razor knife or a rotary cutter with a ruler would work good. So either one of those would cut it good. You could cut it by hand, but you won't get the nice clean straight edges if you try and cut it by hand. So the next step is the glue gun, and I like this precision tip glue gun. It has a fine tip. It's just a mini glue gun. It has an on-off switch. You can get these at all the different stores, but there's lots of different kinds of glue guns. Any glue gun would work. This just happens to be my favorite. So you run the beads of glue along the side, and you push that down, and now you have a little pocket to put your silverware in. Now I'm going to take this square of the burlap and I'm going to glue all the way around again. Move this up slightly. I'm trying to watch that to make certain that I'm not out of view. And actually I could put this on the comments to see if I'm getting any comments. Let's see if it goes there. Looks like no comments at the moment. I actually hope this is playing. I didn't think to check that. Let me check on my phone to see if I'm actually live. Give me just a second here. And I will check this out. Yeah, it looks like I'm live. So that is good. We'll just continue on then. Sorry about that. So from there, we will use the silk screen transfers. And I have used a couple of sets. And this one's called Fresh Pumpkin. And then this set is called Woodland Floral. Let me get you to some actual pictures of that so you can see the full set. Hold on just a second. So you're back to me, and now I'll show you the Woodland Floral first. And this could be used for Christmas or fall. It's a very fun silk screen transfer. Then we'll move on to the Fresh Pumpkins. This is a cute fall one. It could be used Halloween or fall. And I am just using the smaller pumpkin on it, and I'll show you that next. So let me get back into my other view. And now I'm back in the corner, looks like, so that's good. That's what we want. Now, one thing about this silk screen transfer is, and maybe you can see that here, is this pumpkin is huge. And then there's not really a line there unless you put this one over the top of that one. So this was supposed to be what you ink first. This is second. But I'm doing just the opposite. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to ink just this small pumpkin. So I'm going to grab this from the corner, but I'm going to take it from the middle, because you always want to pull from the middle. You don't want to stretch your transfer out. Now, if this was a brand new transfer, you would want to fuzz it on a towel. And I use these little microfiber towels. They work out great. If you can see that, or any kind of a towel would work, but you just want to fuzz it good. And you do that 2 or 3 times, but this has already had quite a bit of use, and you're only supposed to get about 10 or 11 uses out of it, but this being just a cardstock project, I've used it. I probably made 38 of those already. So it's turning out to be way reusable. So I'm going to just put this on my Teflon mat. And underneath this, I'm going to slide a piece of my craft cardstock. Then I'll just smooth that out. You want to make certain you don't have any bubbles. And I'm going to start with my Chalkology paste, and this one's pumpkin pie. And one thing I like to do is label them, but that's just my preference. Also underneath it tells you what it is. So then we'll take the lid off. Now if you think it's too thick, and we're just going to check that because I want to show you the different thicknesses. That actually isn't too bad. We want kind of like a cake batter. Some people like a yogurt consistency, but I really like cake batter the best. So I'm going to use that just like it is. And I'm taking one of our squeegees. This is actually a bigger squeegee. And I've taken that and cut a small piece off of it. So I'm going to watch where the stem is, and I'm not going to do orange there. So if you can see that, and I'm just pulling downward. And because this is so thin, it's going on real nice. That is how I like it, because if it's too thick, it dries so fast and you hardly have time to even do something, especially if you're doing multicolors, and I will be learning that because I haven't done much of that yet. So you guys will learn that with me. So I have some excess there. Oh, if you can see that. And so I'm just pulling that off. Put the rest back in my jar because you want to be able to use this as many times as you can because it goes a long ways. So now I'm going to move on to my bark. This is my bark paste. And this is the color I'm going to use for the stem. And this probably isn't too bad right now either. So that works out good, and put that in my paste, set that aside. You can clean these up with a disinfectant wipe, your little squeegees. In fact, I always have disinfectant wipes and also paper towels close by. So as you can see, that got the outline of the pumpkin there, and that's what you want. So normally you would take this and you would take it into the bathroom and you would run water on it and you would scrub it clean. We have these board erasers that we use, and they're to clean the boards with. They also work out great to help clean off your silkscreen transfers. One thing that's very nice about them is they seem to work way better than the ones you can buy at the store. So I will continue to use these. I've been scrubbing these good with it, and it still looks almost brand new. So it just kind of gets all the colored dye out of there. So since I'm not going to run this in water, and I don't want to stick it in a water bath right now because I'm not going to be too long. You can do that, but you don't want to leave them in a water bath real long either because then your transfers don't last as long. So I'm just going to set this over here on my little towel that I have down. And we'll move on to this next step. And this step is the back part of the transfer that was supposed to be the first layer. And one thing I didn't show you was you want to write on the back of these when you cut them apart, because there's lines to cut this stuff apart. You want to write what it is, because that way you know how to stick it back on there. And when I peel this off, I'll show you that. I don't know if you can tell, but this is shiny. This is way shiny there. And it's kind of silky. So if that gets anything on it, you can even clean that with a disinfectant wipe. So I'm going to line this up. And I'm just sticking it on my little Teflon mat again. I have a little bit of a bubble there, but I'm not too worried about this because I'm only going to do at the top here. And I have a little sponge thing here I was using earlier. I'll just grab another one. I have one right here. So this is just a little craft sponge that I have with my inks and dyes. You can use that or any kind of sponge. And I want to use the orange peel this time on that process. So, and it looks a little thicker. So I'm going to show you how I thin this. You put some squirts of water in there. And this is my little sprayer that I like. It's small and it's easy to use. And I like how it sprays. And then this is the makeup spatula again. These are the long handle. I like those. And you just mix this to get a cake batter consistency. These can thicken up in about 20-30 minutes, especially if you leave the lid off. So even though I've used it recently and sprayed it with some water, it just helps to refreshen it a bit. And then you can clean that up later. So what I did is I just daubed this in here and I just pushed this around a bit. And you could do that with your squeegee. Just do areas that you want. I just wanted to lightly get some color up there in different spots. So I'm going to put the lid back on my paste so it doesn't dry out. And actually I probably should have just set it on there because we're going to use that again. So I'll peel this up. And now you can see I've got some splotches on my cardstock there on my pumpkin. And I'm going to set this just like I talked about on the other one. I'm just going to set it over here on my towel. Since the towel is fuzzed anyway and it won't stick like it would on some other surface. So the next step would be to actually, I need to let that dry a little bit. I could blow dry it with my blow dryer I have here, but I have one ready. So we're just going to use what I have ready. I would cut that out now that I know my lines and I cut it out how I wanted to cut it out. And I have a little acorn we're going to do next and a leaf. So let's move on to that step. So there's the leaf and the acorn. And we'll do the leaf here. So the leaf I just did in the darker pumpkin orange. And I'm just going to set it on my little tag that I cut out. I used a die cut on this, but you definitely don't have to use a die cut. Let me get my sponge or my squeegee. And it should be plenty thin enough. So we'll just push that on there. This works great on our chalkboards, all kinds of stuff, but you'll be seeing me do inking on pillows and shirts. I've got a lot of lives coming up, so be sure and tune in, and if you decide you would like to do some of this stuff or try it out, join my VIP group, and I'll be running some specials in there so that you can. So I've got that part done, and I'm just going to lift that up and set that over here on my towel along with the other ones. One thing, and I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but you don't want the transfers to stick to each other, or you don't want the sticky sides to stick to each other. And if they do, you have to take them and run them under the water to try and unstick them. So it is possible to get them unstuck, but it's better if you don't do that. Okay, so my next little piece, I just used a little scrap of cardstock, and I'm going to put my acorn on there. And we'll do it this way where we can see. Let me move it up. I've got to watch that we're getting everything in the views here. If we're not, comment and let me know. So I'm going to take my brown again. I think it was bark is what this one's called. And I'm just going to ink the top part here. So I've got that. I'll scrape that in there. Set that aside. Excuse me. And then I felt like the acorn needed a lighter orange. So I'm going to use the orange peel again. And I'll dip that in there. And run that over my image there. And that'll make a way cute acorn. And I'll set that off to the side, and we'll peel this up, and we have a way cute acorn. Now if it bled a little bit, I have a little Q-tip that I use, and I can show you that. And they're these Q-tips, and they have a point on one end and a flat on the other side. And I see a couple little spots on this where it bled, but I can fix that. I can get rid of that by using this tip. So, and this hardly got even used, so I'm going to save it and use it for another one. also, because you can hardly tell that it was used. So that's the little acorn. To save time, I've cut that out. And we're going to move on to the next step. This actually isn't quite dry. So let me show you that step. I could plug this in and let's see if we can use the little hair dryer to dry it real quick. You just get it plugged in here. I'll see if it turns on. Yep. So I tried to get the quietest hair dryer I have. I also have a heat gun, but the heat gun's a little hotter. And you want to keep these away from your silk screen transfers as much as possible because it will melt the transfer. And I've got this on low right now, so it's even a little quieter than it would be if it was on high. See, and I'm touching that now and it's dry in that short a time. So that worked out great to use that. So that dried that real quick, and now I'm going to take my little punch and I'm just going to punch a hole at the top by the leaf, by the stem. So I have that in there, and now I want to I'm going to add twine, and it's right here. Let me grab my twine. Because that will be one of our next steps. But first, and I'll put this back down so you can see it, but we're going to glue this pumpkin on next. So that's actually the very next step that we do, is to glue on the pumpkin. And my husband said it was looking good, so that's a good sign. Like I say, I'm learning how to do this, so hopefully, if I don't burn myself. I don't know if any of you guys have ever burnt yourself, but hot glue can be dangerous. And you definitely don't want to glue yourself. And then I let that dry too long, I guess, from it flipping on me. So, oh, and that didn't stick either. I don't know. Hold on. We're going to re-stick this down here. I had some different glue sticks, so maybe they're the low temp. This is a high temp gun. Maybe that's making a little bit of a difference. But we'll push that down again. We should have plenty in there now to hold it. And I can stick a teeny bit under here on that side. So that's good. And then now I want to wrap my twine around here with my little tag. And I don't know if I told you in the beginning, but we are doing if you can believe me staying up this late, we are doing our Thanksgiving tomorrow with our kids. So, and they're coming at 4 o'clock, so I still have some things to get ready for that even. But I wanted to get this live done because I've had it ready for a while and I just needed to find time to get it done, and tonight was the night. So I'm just tying the tag on there, as you can see that, and I had to do it sideways for a minute because it's just too hard to tie it any other way. And my last step is just to hot glue this little acorn on there for that part. And that gets that done to there. And then let me find my ink pad here real quick. I had it here a few minutes ago. Let me just grab a different one. I have another one right here. Same thing. So I just use an ink pad, and you won't have the same thing. And if you don't have stamps, you could print something on the computer and just cut a little piece of a label with a saying thankful or whatever, and that would be cute and fun also. But I found a cute little saying in my stamp, so I wanted to use that on there. So I'm just going to press that into my ink. And we'll just center that up and press that on there. And it says, there's always something to be thankful for. And so that's the end of my project. I hope you like this fun holiday Thanksgiving silverware holder. And just think of how many years you could use this. That's why I made extra, because we have 18 grandkids plus all the adults. And I know there's more grandkids on the way, so I tried to make a few extra, so we'll see if I made enough. So if you'd like to join my group, remember I will run some VIP specials. And let me switch this out a minute and I'll go back to this other view. So I'd love to have you join my group, and I am going to do some cyber specials next week. So now's a good time to join, and you can get discounted prices in my VIP group. If you don't want to deal with that, or you just want to purchase, you can purchase on chalkcouture.com/ArlanaPatton. Also, if you'd like to be added to an opportunity group that I'm going to get going, I don't have it going quite yet, but let me know and I'll put you on that list. And you could also be a part of Chalk Couture and all the fun and being creative and crafty and earning some money at the same time. Love to have you on my team. So thanks for watching, and hope you have a good day today. And we'll see you on the next live. I have some new ones coming up next week. So I hope you join me in my new lives. Have a good morning. Bye.